Meneer van Onselen.
Hi, Skalk.
Gerard, kan jy my hoor?
Ek hoor jou, ja, dis baie saag. Probeer net gaan kyk.
Gerardus, praat met my.
My Zoom is net baie sag. Ek wonder hoekom is dit?
Hy seker maar geslaan as kind.
Okay, nou dink ek is beter hierso.
Ron, welcome. Scotty, welcome. Hey, Gideon, how's it going? Let me unmute you there. How's it going, Gideon?
Lekker, and with you, Skalk. Can't complain.
Awesome.
Unlike you, Gideon, my Facebook feed is evidence that I can complain.
This is also true.
Okay. The Oakling. Welcome, Oakling. Mazzles. Okay. We're just waiting for Logan, then we can kick off. I'm sure he's gonna sign up in a second now. Any minute now. Okay, well, I'll do a introduction so long in Logan's absence. Yeah, so Logan and I have been building, we've been building like a set of tools, all essentially trying to, you know, protect people's financial sovereignty and, you know, and their right to free speech. Yeah, and both these projects, the one's called DAIHard. It's a, you can think of it as sort of like an escrow service without the necessity for an escrow agent. We might actually have to demo that given how many new people are here. Yeah, and then the other thing is called SmokeSignal. Yeah, and both these things essentially enable you to trade freely and for you to speak freely, but they enable you to trade so freely and speak so freely that you could theoretically get us into trouble if you did everything that your heart desired on this site. So one of the challenges that we found is that, you know, for us to actually build these platforms out, you know, we need funding. We can't keep funding these things out of pocket. And at the same time, basically, yeah, we can't just necessarily make it purely open source, release it and have it go, because the amount of interactions and iterations that we need in terms of, you know, getting user feedback, implementing that into the product again and so forth is really sort of non-trivial. and we suspect that this is probably the main reason why the crypto anarchy revolution hasn't quite taken off to the extent that it could have taken off by now. Specifically, just that getting this stuff usable to end users is non-trivial, but at the same time, you can't quite stay funded indefinitely. So we're building the Foundry, which is a DAO that is meant to actually own these projects and similar projects going forward, and basically allow people to build on them and actually find a way for them to be remunerated. What are the nice English word? Grant, Gerard, someone help me out. What's the nice word for word betaal in Engels? See, everyone's on mute, so.
To be compensated.
Yeah, there we go. To be compensated. There we go. To be compensated for the stuff, yeah.
Hey, Skull.
Hey, Mornay. How's it going, man? Welcome.
Yeah, good and you?
Good, good. All right, so while we wait for Logan, I'm sure he's going to show up any second now. Yeah, so the purposes of these meetings basically are we sort of want to, we want to do an open demo day every Friday. So hopefully we'll grow the portfolio of Foundry going forwards. Hopefully we get to be in a position soon where we can fund more projects as well. And then everybody who builds something for Foundry can basically display it on a Friday. So since everyone's pretty much new, we'll probably end up just showing all the products again from scratch. Yeah, but then going forward, you know, this will be a place where you can see like the progress with these things specifically. Hey, Adam, how's it going? Hey, what's up?
Everyone.
Hold on a second. I'll quickly mute myself here. We are keeping the professionality high here. I think the main developer sort of forgot the meeting is right now. In his defense, we were in 2 other meetings before this. So, okay. All right. Let me see. So guys, just while we're waiting for Logan, just a quick question though. Do you guys know any people who might have to reskill thanks to these lockdowns and stuff? I know there's I won't say who, but I know there's at least a couple of guys that I've already had contact with who basically like yeah, are in industries now that unfortunately the government has essentially declared illegal. But we do have kind of like a concise stack of technologies that guys can learn if they want to code. Actually get them started in blockchain development, I think very, very rapidly. So if you guys know people like that, you know, throw us their contact details, please. Well, throw me their contact details, and then, you know, we can definitely help those people going forward.
Yeah, Skulk, I'm busy putting, I've got an HR company that will be putting together experienced blockchain developers and also developers that want to go into that space. So I think she must probably get to know you, and then whoever she is putting or getting together, you know, you can maybe assess it or assist her in how she looks at the quality of the people. It's not specifically just for coding, it's also meant for consultants, the broader spectrum of blockchain itself.
Okay.
But we are putting together a resource so that when the time is right, we can start getting people out into the industry. Because a lot of companies still don't understand it really, and they're going to need to know or ask the questions, put together educational things, etc. So when the time comes, we'll have the resources to pull from and get them into the companies.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Cool. Well, guys, Logan has joined us. Welcome, Logan.
Hey guys, sorry about being a little late there.
Luckily, you're late for the meeting where all the people actually showed up.
Nice.
Listen. Okay. Yeah. So basically, I think. All right. I was explaining to them what the purpose of our demo day is, but given how many new people there are, I was thinking. I know it might be getting a little bit redundant for me and you, but I was thinking if we could run them through like a quick explanation of DAIHard again and SmokeSignal.
Sure, but just before we get started, they know that this is being recorded. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, everyone. We are going to broadcast this as of next week. Basically, if you really don't want to have your face shown, I guess I can start the video here, and you can turn off your video right now. Your legal incrimination should be fairly low at this point still. Yes, Adam.
Are you recording with all of the individual videos, or if we turn off our video, will that be sufficient?
Yeah, you can just turn off your video.
Just turn off your video if you'd like.
Yeah, and then I'll cut it from this point on. Okay.
Okay, so you were saying, Skulk, you'd like to just do a sort of a rundown of Foundry and SmokeSignal and DAIHard. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. I think basically if we can, I think maybe start with SmokeSignal, and then we can just briefly show DAIHard, and then we can just go into what Foundry does and where we are with Foundry at the moment.
Okay, so are you saying demo then SmokeSignal, or just do an overview first? What do you mean?
I think maybe let's just give us an overview and let's demo it as well. Let's actually show the products.
All right. So so I will get a page up with it. But first, just the overview is SmokeSignal is a way to communicate just with text for now. That because it's built directly on Ethereum, no one can censor it, no one can shut it down. And there are even versions of the app out there that we can't even shut down. So if we wanted to, if we were being pressured to censor something, even we couldn't go and censor it. It uses, as I said, Ethereum and IPFS, which if you know those terms, cool. But if you don't, it's just these stacks that are built to be, have a certain amount of immutability to them and permanence. So you can put something out on there and then you can't take it back. You can't edit it. So and that's the technology we build on. So I will now share my screen and demo that. And this is live. So just to be clear, we're not demoing it because we must, because anyway, it is live. So, and you can find it by going, we should get a better, well, there's two ways you can access it. There's a few ways you can access it. For most browsers, you're gonna have to go here. If you have MetaMask already installed, which is this crypto wallet, which I'll probably talk a bit about, then you can go to, you can also find the same thing by going to smokesignal.eth, like that. And then MetaMask will sort of take over and redirect you to, and this, now this is a version of the app that, as I said earlier, this one is harder to take down. You can see it's actually specified by a hash that goes to IPFS. So once you're redirected here, even if we update the app, this version will still point to the same version of the app. Anyway, that's all technical. Feel free to ask questions about that at some point. But just to get back to the...
If I could just quickly throw some stuff in there, that smokesignal.eth domain is, it's on the Ethereum name system. And that actually points to our IPFS, to a version of our application on IPFS. In other words, as long as somebody can see Ethereum and they can access the IPFS network, and someone anywhere has that IPFS content, they can reload this site. Right. So there's very, very little chance of being incredibly difficult to actually censor what you're seeing right now on the page. In fact, it's so hard that if somebody were to start posting truly horrendous things here, me and Logan at this point don't have a plan on really how to stop that from happening. Right?
Yeah,
so
essentially what we would do in that case, and I'll try to get to this demo here really quick, but just to finish up that point, this right here is the mirror. It's good to think of this as a mirror on our site, similar to how the like the Pirate Bay has many mirrors. So we would probably put filters on this mirror, but as far as this app here, we wouldn't even be able to change it. And that would be sort of a way that we could avoid liability while still maintaining the free speech aspect of it. Anyway, so just now to show you how this works. There are many different topics. If you have MetaMask, which you need to actually post messages, you can type in a new topics, you know, whatever, World of Warcraft. Then you can make your own topic, which is really just you're creating the first post in that topic. So these topics are easy to create. It's just a matter of who has written on these topics. So here, I'll just go to SmokeSignal use cases. So this is what a topic looks like. And, you know, we could do more work on the design. This is just a few iterations in here. But this post here, now, any of these posts I find, they'll have this hash bit up here. If you click here, this is a link to this post now, and this is essentially a permalink. And if I do the same thing now over here on the IPFS version, I'll just go try to find that same one. Let's see, use cases in here. Now this link, it's a long, ugly one, but this link, just like the app itself we were talking about earlier, this link will now irrevocably link to this post. And so this post is now uncensorable, nobody can take it down. And again, this data comes straight from the Ethereum blockchain. And in fact, you can see that if we click here, and you go here to the Etherscan an Ethereum block explorer, and you go to view input as UTF-8. So you can see my text is actually buried in here. So this is really directly stored on the Ethereum blockchain, and SmokeSignal just gives you a way to not only interpret that data easily, but then also post data easily. I will just try to go over some brief features. So if you want to make a new post, you could, again, you can go into one of these topics, you could make your own. But let me just go back here. So now I'm back in this topic. I could.
Can I just quickly inject something there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically what you're seeing at the moment is sort of you can think of it as a clone of Reddit on the Ethereum blockchain.
That's the use case, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like an initial use case. And then also...
Well, you keep talking. I'm just going to go find a better post to illustrate what you just said, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then essentially what one of the novel things is about this is outside of the fact that it's uncensorable, you can also burn a lot of, you can also basically burn money to signal that you are serious about this post. And we'll actually show you guys an organic example that happened with that. But that means that if you really want to get the word out about something, I mean, you could theoretically burn $10,000 and say, listen, I'm definitely serious that people should take note of this, right? That's essentially just a way to communicate that, listen, what you're trying to say is important. We'll get to an example now. I see Adam had a question. Is it possible for someone to take the site itself down, or is the list of posts also permanently available? So, so it's actually, it's not possible for somebody to take the site down from ENS, right? So at this stage, even we cannot take it down. Yeah.
Well, just to be a little clear on that, we can update the .eth domain to point to something else or point to nothing. But what we cannot take down is we can't really prevent that hash from delivering the same content. And now to get a little bit more technical, we have a server that hosts the content and that is serving that to IPFS. So in theory, if we took down the server, changed the .eth domain, and if nobody else also was serving that same content, then people wouldn't be able to find it. But basically, as soon as this gets any traction and other people are using this site too, that content will have propagated out onto IPFS, and at that point, nobody can take it down. And the content itself can't be modified in any way because this hash, if I go back to the IPFS version of the URL, this hash here actually is a hash of the content. So when you go here, it will be a particular version and that will always map to the same content. And as long as somebody on the network has that content, you can get it and sort of automatically verifies that it's the correct content. So you're not getting a man in the middle attacked or anything like that. Yeah, so this guy, for example, he burned $100 to get this post up. This was our first, I would say, real use case. And now, interestingly, he is offering to send someone 100 DAI if they can put something up on here that we have to censor on our Mirror app. We don't know who this guy is. He clearly knows a lot about smart contracts. And my guess as to his motivations, which we don't need to get too far into this right now, although I'm happy to take questions on it. I'm guessing that he just wants to really see if this thing is truly uncensorable in the way that we're making it out to be. And so he wants to push the boundaries and see where that goes. And here you can see the Reddit functionality Skalk was talking about. So you have these replies. This is me replying, sort of teasing out some of the implications of what he said, and somebody else has replied. And now with any of these posts, you can click on reply and you can make your reply here. This is what the reply interface looks like. And when you reply, you can also burn some amount of DAI. And you can also now either burn and support. So I could burn another DAI here. Let's just see if everything is in place for this to work. This is on a different account.
Okay.
And you should be able to see I have the screen share interface in the way, so I can't see, but there should be a burn. Oh, why can't I move that? I can't move okay, well, whatever. Should be a burn something there. I actually can't. Okay, there it goes. I can't read that. Anyway, when that's mined, there should be another thing popping up here. It should say 101. And it'll say author burned 100 and the crowd burned $1. So we'll wait for that to mine and come back here. The only other things,
by the way,
yes, you can also tip. Yeah, so if there was a tip, it would also show that, and that's just sending money directly to him. I think I actually have a post somewhere for that. Looks like not.
Well, okay, there was an example of.
So, well, here's an example of, yeah, author has burned $10. So the same guy made a comment on our, basically some feedback. And so the crowd burned 1.1 as support. That was actually me testing to make sure that whole system worked. Yeah, and so the idea with this burning is it's basically an alternative to upvotes that you can't really game. And one example just to show that is that this topics list here is ordered by how much has been burned under that topic. And so what's interesting about this is that you have a completely user-determined hierarchy of content, and yet it can't be gamed, and there's no moderation. So that's a really interesting combination of benefits that you get, specifically because we're building everything on this idea of burning DAI.
Okay, so Grant asked a question, like he said he thinks he missed something. Why would someone burn DAI? Okay, so just go to the games thing again. Just want to read this guy's post actually. So this guy's post literally said, I will send $100 in DAI to the first Ethereum address that will post a message on SmokeSignal, which will be censored from the SmokeSignal mirror. And then he gives the mirror there. And he says like, okay, so he had some frequently asked questions. How will you know that the message was posted if it was removed from the website? It will be visible on the blockchain. So that's how you can see. And the second thing is, how do I know he will send me the money? And the guy says, you don't, but I am the guy who just burned $100 to post this message. So in essence, what this guy's doing is he basically used the burn mechanism to say that he is exceptionally serious about this thing. And one thing you could, well, we haven't quite built it into the interface yet because there isn't really like sufficient traction yet. But one thing that we'll do in the interface basically is to sort things by how much money was burned and how long ago that money was burned. So that kind of stuff gets more visibility. So it's similar to like upvoting, but it's a little bit more significant since you can't game it. You've had to earn it basically, and you also can't.
And again, you not only can you not game it, but like let's say these replies were sorted by burn amount. Even though you can't game it, you could actually pay your way to the top. So right now these are just displayed in order of when they were posted, but you could have the replies simply just sorting the replies by total burn amount would immediately sort of sort a lot of that out. Because you'd only have things at the top that at least somebody felt strongly about, and potentially that the whole crowd supported. And these filters could get quite advanced as well. But just for the very beginnings of them, just by sorting by amount burned, that should really add a lot of sort things out quite effectively.
Yeah. So, and one of the reasons that you'd want to burn the DAI versus just tip the DAI is because this is an anonymous system. The person could circularly tip themselves, right? So they could tip themselves the same dollar 100 times, and it would look like it's a very highly tipped post. But with burning, you know for a fact that this guy's never seeing that money again, right? So it was about the message. Yeah, does that answer your question, Grant? Okay, cool. Is it answers your question?
Okay. So I think I went over all the major features here. Unfortunately, my transaction isn't mined yet. And I thought I did tip one of these posts. I'm just now thinking maybe this isn't the completely current version. That should be though. Anyway, I think that might be good for now for a demo. We can now move on maybe to
do you guys have any
DAIHard
questions?
or
I think
Foundry.
let's kick off there. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Okay, no questions. All right. Oh, confirmed. Okay, let me just now go back to that post. Let's see, it was in games and this one. Okay, still, it was this one that I tipped, right? Or burned rather. Oh, you know what? I might not have this reloading on the fly yet. Let me just reload the page and see if that does it. There you go. So that's gone up to 101. Author burned $100. Crowd burned 1 in support. And if I had tipped, you'd see another green little box there saying author has received such and such. Yeah. Oh, and then just one other thing, that our profit mechanism here is that whenever you're writing a post or whenever you're doing some action, you have this little checkbox, donate extra 1% Foundry, donate extra 1% to Foundry. It defaults to checked, but when you uncheck it, it unchecks all of them. And yeah, most people leave that checked when they make a post. So that's the sort of the profit motive there. Yeah, I think Skulk, rather than demoing DAIHard again, because we did do that in the last video, and I think we should really think about these in terms of producing content. I think maybe let's rather just demo the new stuff. Yeah, what do you think about that?
Sorry, man, I was just quickly sorting out the grinding noise in the background there.
Oh, yeah, well.
So just throw that question again, sorry.
I'm just thinking we already did demo DAIHard, and we're just from a content production. I don't really want to make these things just repetitive whenever new people are joining. So okay. I'm not really sure if we should just go over DAIHard again. It did take quite a long time.
Okay, well, okay. We can, is there anybody who very specifically wants to see DAIHard? It is quite interesting.
I don't mind.
Okay. All right. I'll just briefly tell you guys what DAIHard is then we don't have to go over the whole demo again. Essentially, DAIHard is Logan came up with this very creative mechanism called a burnable payment. And what a burnable payment basically does is if you have two participants who don't know if they can trust each other, then you can essentially set up a little contract where the initiator of the contract sets the terms for the completion of the contract. So let's take an example of somebody, you know, I want my lawn mowed, argument's sake, right? So I could put out a bounty that says for 300 Rand, you can come mow my lawn, right? And I'll give you the 300 Rand. And I'll lock it into this contract where the only option for me is I either burn the money or I send the money to the person who picks up the contract and commits to it, if I'm happy, right? So it can only go in one of those two directions. Then a counterparty will come along and they'll actually see, oh, okay, well, cool. Somebody wants their lawn mowed. That looks like something that I could accomplish. And then they basically enter the contract by putting down a deposit amount. Now, in our case, we've just temporarily set it to 33%. So in my example, somebody would come and they'd put down 100 Rand to actually say, listen, I'm serious about mowing this lawn. Now that 100 Rand basically goes into the same pool as the 300 Rand and gets locked into that contract. Now the guy is obligated to come mow my lawn because if I'm not happy, then I'm going to burn all 400 Rand. Now that gives him the guarantee that I'm not just going to screw him and run off with his money. And it basically gives me the guarantee that he will definitely mow my lawn, you know, or he'll get no money out of it, right? So that's effectively how the mechanism works. And I mean, without going too deeply into the game theory, the end result is essentially that you can put these bounties out there, and you can then basically have a pretty strong guarantee that if somebody committed to the bounty, that they will actually perform it. So DAIHard, in its current incarnation, we've just built a UX for it that specifically facilitates person-to-person cryptocurrency trade, which I see Logan has shared in the meanwhile. But it is the backing mechanism is actually slightly more generic than that.
Yeah, and I guess, I think we also get another vote of I wouldn't mind the demo in the chat. So I'll just go through this real quick.
Okay, cool.
So as Skulk said, that underlying game theory of basically having this, you have a person who's put the money in and they only have the options to burn. That seems like it's pretty powerful game theoretically, and so we've made it into a way to buy and sell crypto. And now this is an exchange then that would work without KYC and can work anywhere in the world. The similar things between these two products of this one and SmokeSignal is that they're built to work even where they're illegal. Even when someone wants to shut them down, they should work anyway. They don't really rely on any centralized parts that can be pressured or shut down, including ourselves. So DAIHard as well cannot be, well, DAIHard is a little different because we don't have it on a .eth domain yet, but it could easily be put on a .eth domain, and this doesn't rely on any servers in the background. So there's no server you can shut down that will destroy this other than some way to get the file initially, which we can use IPFS for that, just this JavaScript interface, I mean. So let's say I land at an airport and I have 100 DAI and I want to get local currency. And this is actually, I think, a great use case because if you've landed in a new place, it's a huge pain in the ass to get to sign up for an exchange. You'd have to get a bank account like in South Africa. I'm not from South Africa. If I didn't know Skulk, if I wanted to do some crypto trades, I'd have to sign up for a bank account, which I still haven't done because it's just a huge pain. And then I'd have to go through and get like a Luno account or whatever that other exchange is. So yeah, so rather, I just want to get this done very quickly. So I can say I want to sell 100 DAI, and I'm going to say in exchange for, what is that roughly in ZAR, Skulk?
That's going to be about 19,000, well, no, 1,940. Yeah.
Okay, 1940.
Do you want to commit 100? Are you going to make it a short time period though?
Yes, yeah. And actually, I don't even have 100 DAI. Let me just, well, maybe I do have 100. Okay. Unfortunately, this, okay, well, let's see. Let's just make this for 10 DAI. I'm just going to cut this down a bit. And I'm also going to include now 5 DAI extra because I'm actually going to be asking this guy to do a bit of work for me. So I'm going to say, I'll be landing at XYZ airport at, let's say 1500 local time tomorrow. And really, you'd want to be a bit more specific than this. Meet me at the airport and bring the cash. Here, let's just make this 200, a little easier. And I'll release the payment upon cash delivery, something like this. Now, this is just an English text description, but because of the game theory and burnable payments, the only people who will actually commit to this are going to be the people who think that they can do this. So I don't need to sort of take my request and pigeonhole it into something a computer will understand. I'm really just advertising to people, describing this to a person, and then now currently there's basically no users on DAIHard.exchange, but if there were users, someone would see this and make the decision themselves as to whether they can deliver on this request or not. I can mess with the sort of the life cycle of this trade if I want, just very briefly. And again, feel free to ask questions. How long will the offer stay alive as long as nobody commits before it sort of automatically gets returned to me? How long should the payment take once somebody has committed? And then the final one is how long do I then have to decide between burning or releasing the DAI in the end? So if they haven't brought me the money, I would want to burn the DAI that's in the payment. And how long should I have to make that decision? If I don't make a decision by the end of this time, it'll just get automatically released. Okay, let's proceed with this offer now. Now you can read through this, but it's basically what Skulk and I have just described. It just kind of talks about the life cycle of this stuff. Now again, MetaMask pops up. MetaMask is the a common thing across not just our dApps, but all dApps. This is not something we've made, just to be clear. It's something that's been around in the industry for quite some time. But it's where it's a browser add-on that you would put your crypto into. So as I sign this now, well, this will take 2 transactions because of some weirdness with the way Ethereum works. But once I sign this next transaction, that will actually take my 15 DAI from my wallet and put it into a smart contract. So I will no longer really own the DAI, although I will be, and instead sort of what you could say what I've exchanged that for is now I'm the seller role in this burnable payment that has 15 DAI that came from me. And I'll talk a bit more about that once this goes through. Of course, it could take a while. I really should have done this in Kovan. In fact, you did send me some DAI on Kovan, didn't you, Skulk? Maybe I should just cancel this.
I did last time. I can get you some more if you need.
Okay. Let's cancel that. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch my MetaMask to Kovan, which is the same architecture. It's just with fake money, basically, monopoly money. So I'm just going to do that to demonstrate the product, but you can do this on mainnet as well with real DAI, as I was just about to. The reason I'm not doing it there, how much did you send me, Skulk?
How much Kovan did I, how much Kovan Ether or Kovan DAI did I send you? I sent you
okay,
like
I've listened.
cents.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to say that I'm only doing 10 cents. We'll just have to mentally replace that with the real amount. Dang, I wish I'd taken that text down. Okay, I'm just going to say, yeah, there. Give me that cash. Obviously, you want a bit more detail there. Okay, I'm just going to continue now. This product as well, we take 1%. We take 1% of every successful trade. So if nothing goes wrong, we get 1% of the value traded. Okay, now this should be pretty quick because it's on Kovan.
Okay, so I've got to go pick that up now, right?
Yeah, why don't you do that? And I'll just actually let's let you, okay, let me first just describe this screen real quick. So this is this is the trade. So this is the URL for the trade. You could bookmark this. You can also find it on my trades. So if I go to my trades, there it is. Oh, that's an old one. It's not showing me the.
Yeah, it doesn't show the Kovan ones, hey? Remember the marketplace doesn't load Kovan.
Ah, that's right. Okay, let me back up then. Uh-oh, back to my trade. Okay, so this is on mainnet. It would show up. Well, but yeah, okay. Anyway, right.
So that's trade number what? Trade number 3, okay.
It's trade 3, but I do want you to show them. Oh, but you're right, it won't show up on the marketplace. Okay, so normally Skulk would go to marketplace and you'd be able to find something on here.
But there should be something on, there should be some crazy guys buying beer on the marketplace, I believe.
I don't see anything. Only the one that we're using for comms.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Well, okay. So basically this is our marketplace site. If you want to quickly just go back there. So our marketplace site so at the moment we don't have, one of the things that we'll be doing once we have some funds is basically trying to market this as far as we possibly can and to extend it so that it has more uses than just the currency stuff. But anyway, in the marketplace, you can basically see all the open contracts. So in other words, anything, and then you can filter by keywords, you can filter by, the minimum and the maximum wages.
Just to be clear, the one that I made would be on here if it was just on the mainnet. That's the only reason we're not seeing it here.
Yeah.
And so then Skulk, he's going to be playing the role of the other person. He would find it on this marketplace. He'd click on it, and then he'd be looking at this same page that I'm looking at, although it would be worded a little differently because this is wording it in terms of my offer, etc. So for him, it'll be a little different. I'll pass the screen share on to you now, Skulk.
Okay, that'd be cool. Just let me close my copy of Sims here. Okay, let's share screen. Let us share. Okay. Okay, so basically, if we look at, all right, so this is what I get to see now, essentially. So I've now gone to the marketplace. I've clicked on this offer, and here I see oh, look at this, you know, there's all this stuff I can do. And if I meet this dude at the airport and give him that cash, I think this is a good enough deal. I'm going to take my chances, go to a random airport and see if he's there. I'm just going to say, yes, I commit to this trade. Hopefully I have enough DAI.
So now just a note here, when Skalk as the other party is committing to this, he has to put up his own DAI. So he has to put up 1/3 of the amount of DAI that's in there, which means that he has skin in the game. And that's why when I created the payment, I said something like, you know, I can make sure that only the people that can actually deliver on this will commit. And the reason I could say that is because when Skalk does this, he actually has to put his DAI in as well. And now it's switched to the second mode here. It'll look similar on mine. Mine as well will have moved to this second mode here. And now it should say somewhere in this block that the balance of the trade contains both my initial DAI, which in our original scenario was 15 DAI, and then his commitment, which is 1/3 of that. And so that's how much is sort of at stake and held in this contract. So money now is with both of our wallets, and now we're both playing specific roles in this contract.
Yeah. So now the thing is, I can now confirm payment, and that's basically once I've found him and I've given him the cash, then I can say, okay, well, I've done my part. I can abort the trade, which will give me a smaller knock, but still give me a knock. Now, in the near future, we're going to introduce a thing called mutual annulment, but let's not get too bogged down in that. That's just in case we both realize that this trade was undoable. So now I might want to start communicating with him because he didn't actually tell me which airport. So I'll just go there, row, which airport. All right, so this is actually encrypted chat. So this gets encrypted and sent to the blockchain as well. But only
and again, just to drive the point home, this is all happening on the blockchain.
Yeah.
There's no server, including this chat right here.
Yeah. So now basically, I've sent him a message. The moment that message actually mines, there we go. Okay. So new message on trade. Okay. So I'm actually seeing little notifications. So also the site has a notification feature, which if you enable, it actually just tells you if your trades move forward or if somebody sent you a message and stuff. So Logan, on your side, can you see the message?
Let me just check. Yes, I can see the message.
Okay, so do you just want to? No.
Okay, so I'm going to click submit, and I'm signing the message now. So we'll see how long this takes. It should show up pretty quick though. And even on mainnet, this should show up quick because it should catch the event even before it's mined. Okay, so you should see it now, maybe?
Okay, yeah. So here I basically see I'm at XYZ airport. Duh. Okay, cool. So now I could say, okay, well, cool. I'm going to drive to XYZ airport and give him the cash. So now once I've actually given him the cash, I can click on the confirm payment. Now this says by clicking confirm payment, you're claiming that you've paid the seller in a way that they can verify. Only do this if you're sure the seller will agree that they have the money. Otherwise, they will burn the DAI rather than release it to you. I'm just going to say, yes, I comprehend these conditions. And now I'm committing the trade here, right? So now it's going to go over to Logan's side again. So I'll stop sharing.
Okay, and you can also see this chat sort of includes the historical events too. So buyer marked the payment complete. And I'm just going to close out here. And now, so now we both see that we've moved to this burn window. And now in this previous phase that Skalk was showing, I didn't have any button. I was waiting on him to confirm or abort the payment. And now that's flipped a bit. Now I have these buttons. Now Skalk will have no buttons except for the chat button. And in our scenario where Skalk has met me at the airport, he's probably going to click confirm payment and then ask me to just do this bit right while I'm in front of him just to complete it. So you can imagine we're standing together, maybe looking at this on our phone. And then I'll go, okay, yep, I got the $200 or, oh, I didn't change that to ZAR. Well, that's okay. I got the ZAR in our scenario. And then it's saying, okay, releasing the payment will release the money. Only do this if you're certain you've received the full agreed upon payment, which is pretty simple because it was an in-person trade. Is just being a little silly.
And did you mention that if you don't do this, it happens automatically? If you don't actually burn it or explicitly release it, it automatically releases after the release window.
Right. So this timer down here, that's how much time I have. That's how much time I will have the option to burn for. So after 3 minutes, I no longer have the option, and the other person can come and just grab the money out of the contract. And again, I set what this time was when I made the trade. Okay, there we go, trade released. Maybe this page should be a bit more informative. But yeah, we still can chat to each other if we want, but otherwise it's done. And now Skulk should have the DAI in his wallet. And I have the cash from our in-person meeting. So that is DAIHard. There's not too much more to go over. When you create a trade, you can create it by selling DAI. You can also create it by, let's say I want to buy DAI. I can actually create it that way, put my deposit in, and somebody else will come in with the bulk payment. And then we sort of end up in the same scenario, regardless of who starts it. Yeah, then you can find your trades under my trades, and you can look at the past ones as well. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, and one final note on the marketplace is that you can search through this. So in our current version, if you're in Pretoria and you're looking to buy or sell cash, you probably want to type in Pretoria or some other search things. Yeah, I think that's it for the demo. Any questions?
I see there's a question from Gerard that says, what happens when you burn DAI? So Gerard, what happens is the DAI goes to the 0 address, which is unspendable. So effectively, no one will be able to ever move that DAI out of there. So that creates the guarantees for the buyer and the seller that if the thing goes sideways, it's not because one party is trying to gain benefit from it, but because they're actually unhappy.
Oh, I can't look. Oh, there it is. Wait. Okay,
Right. Sorry, Logan. Scott, on your Foundry website, there's a section which links to the marketplace, but I see the link doesn't have that little hashtag in it, and so then it just says server. Yeah. So is that by design, or is that an accident? Yeah.
That is an accident for sure. I'll just make a note of that.
Yeah, because I just wanted to show you like that in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I will take care of that. Thanks for letting us know. That's a mistake for sure.
Okay.
Just to illustrate this, so this is the burn address. When you burn cryptocurrency, it always works the same way. You're sending cryptocurrency to an address that nobody owns. So you can see this actually has over $1 billion in tokens, and then also over a bill. So looks like a combined of almost billion, but then million in Ether. Anyway, so over $1 billion in burned value. So that is how many people have been using the burn address. And yeah, it's just an address nobody has the key to. The reason it's all zeros is it's just easy to verify nobody has that key to, which we don't really need to go into the details of that, but we know that nobody has that address. You're just burning the money, very much a burn. The other thing is that's nice about it is it's a public provable burn, which is essential for a lot of the game theory. So and I think that's where the term burn comes from. It's just like burning $1. You know it's gone. Everybody knows it's gone. There's no way to fake it. But yeah, I heard a question.
Yeah, Gerard, does that answer your question? Then I see Grant had a question as well. Okay, cool. All right, so Grant's question is, can I use this to raise funds? So I want to raise funds to build something. Can I post request for funds? So what you could do, and what our DAO might do, is it might actually also use DAIHard. So this is one of our thinkings. But let's say, for instance, there is a there's something on an open source project that somebody wants built, right? So let's say, for instance, I want a specific feature to be included in Firefox. Then I could come to DAIHard and I could actually put up a bounty that says, listen, if somebody picks this up, I'll pay them $1,000 or $2,000 or however much it is. And then whoever picks that thing up can basically, whoever picks that bounty up, if they have to bond themselves that they'll actually complete the work, But then that way I can actually put out a bounty that says, listen, I'll do this. I want this work done. Now you can do the same thing in reverse as well. You could say that there's some feature that a lot of people want in Firefox, but that nobody has really like paid for. So you could actually go and say, listen, I'm serious about building this feature. So I'll put up $330, argument's sake. And if somebody comes along and pays me $1,000 to do this thing, then basically it's the same thing that would happen, just in the opposite direction. Now, it's not necessarily a great way to do sort of like larger project funding, but I do think it's something that you will that you'll basically be able to use to run smaller bounties, similar to the example that Logan has typed in here. Logan, do you want to explain this one?
Yeah. So basically, now I thought that we could add our custom. There must be a bug, or maybe I thought this was implemented. It's not. You should be able to type in anything you want here and then add it as a custom payment type. So you could type in work or dev or bug fix, and then
this used to be showing. I think it broke at some point, but yeah, we used to be able to say like beer and things like that.
Yeah. So that we want to add in quite quickly again, but anyway, the main. I mean, that's not so important. The main thing is that you're saying, okay, you're asking for somebody to come put 400 DAI into a contract, and what you're saying is, and of course now, sorry, let me organize this a bit. When I proceed with this, in fact, if I just click this now, I have to deposit 137 DAI in to actually create this offer. So that's again 1/3 of this, and the reason I'm paying the third rather than the full amount is because I'm creating it from the other role. So just to connect that, earlier I was creating a get fiat trade, which is selling DAI for fiat. So I put the DAI in. Now I'm doing the reverse. I'm saying get DAI, or in this case, get more DAI, because I do need to put that deposit in. So I'm saying I want to earn 400 DAI, and I say fix that bug. And yeah, to actually create this, so to even get this on the marketplace, I need to put my deposit down. And then that will be listed on the marketplace, and somebody could say, oh, okay, here's a guy who has already put $130 on the line, and this will be at risk of burning as soon as somebody comes in. And they're offering to do this service, which in this case is general, but it could be something more specific. Like I could say, I'll be your personal assistant for a day. I'll do admin tasks for a day. So it could be also quite open-ended. But either way, I put money down on the line, and somebody can go now put the payment into the contract, and then they become the judge of that payment, because they're the one who put the full amount in, and I'm the one being paid. And then once again, we get to that middle section where it says, okay, once you've, now this application will phrase it in terms of as if we're doing a fiat trade, but the game theory still works. It will say, once you've made the payment, click confirm, where in my case, it would be once you've done the work, click confirm. So I would do the work, I click confirm, and I'm going to click confirm knowing that that's going to give the other guy the option of saying, did he do it or didn't he? And so I would want him to be satisfied, because he might just decide to burn it all if I haven't done it. So that is a way that you could generalize this out to work and raising funds. Does that answer the question, Grant?
Okay, so we have another question from Adam here as well. Okay, so Grant says he'll be right back. Okay, so Adam, maybe just clarify your question for us a little bit. So your question is, if somebody wants, let's say I want to, is your question like, I want the bug fixed? Am I the person giving the bounty, or am I the person offering my services for a bounty? Which one of the two roles am I there? Actually, let me talk through both those roles, because the thing is, if I'm the person, okay, so your question is, do you have to put up all the money beforehand? And the difference here versus a normal bounty is that you have to put the money into the contract. So if it's a big bounty, let's say it's $2,000, then yes, you have to put the $2,000 in there. And the other guy coming along has to put in the third of that bounty. So, but this does actually fix a bunch of things in the bounty systems. The first thing is, you don't have to worry if a guy's going to pay you or not. And the guy doesn't have to worry if you're serious, because both of you put skin in the game, right? He puts the money down, and you know that if you pick it up, that money is definitely going to you and only you if you believe you could satisfy him. Right.
the only other place it can go based on the rules of the smart contract is to the burn address.
Exactly.
So in other words, you'd really have to piss them off. You'd really have to piss them off by not doing the work for that money to reasonably be burned. So you have this kind of guarantee. It's a scary sort of game theory, but it comes with these nice incentives and guarantees. Continue.
Yeah, so the thing is, if you put the money into the smart contract and now you've basically committed to seeing this this piece of work, well, you've committed to having it done. And remember, you get that money back. You can cancel the trade at any time before someone commits or after the expiry period, it automatically comes back to you. It's not like you lose that money if nobody comes along and actually picks up your bounty. You can still get those funds back, and then you can reword your offer, or you can go use a different mechanism or whatever it is. But the other party knows you're serious. And the same thing, the same guarantee for you, for the other party, well, for you as the person putting the bounty out there, if anyone picks it up, they picked it up knowing full well that it's in your best interest to burn their funds if they don't deliver, right? And because there is the chat mechanism as well, it's not completely flying blind. If both of you enter into this scenario thinking you can make it work, then you can still communicate with each other to say, okay, well, listen, clearly we have to land at a slightly different location than we initially thought we would. And then, you know, you could still navigate around that to some degree and say, okay, well, things didn't quite pan out as we thought, but it's not really in either one of our interests to now just have the burn happen or to just have the release happen, you know, and the two of you can basically communicate it out further there. Yeah,
and I want to say that, so this application was built for currency exchange specifically. If people started using this for work and that kind of thing, we would probably want to change some of the rules. So one example would be, currently the seller, who becomes the judge in the end, he can only burn or release the whole thing. But if you're doing work, you'd actually want more fine-grained control. You'd want to be able to burn or release parts of it. So if I asked for something to be done in 3 weeks and then take 4 weeks, but they got it done, then I might decide to, burn a small amount but release most of it. And the reason, by the way, game theoretically, that I'd want to burn any of it at all is because I'm building reputation on this platform. And if I build a reputation for being too kind, I'm going to get lazy workers. Whereas obviously if I build a reputation for being too much of a dickhead, nobody's going to want to do work with me. And so you actually want to cultivate a reputation for being, sort of strict but fair. And the more you do that, the more you'll attract workers who can expect that you'll reward good work but punish bad work. And that's it, obviously in your best interest.
Does that answer your question, Adam?
Yes, it does. I'm just thinking, though, would it not make sense then in that case, even with just a regular trade, to be able to configure burn rules with milestones?
Another change you could make if you're focused on a work orientation, a work use case, is that you could allow them to burn or release as the project goes along. So I think in that way, what you say is a really good idea, and definitely you'd want that. However, when you use the word configure, and that the problem is that these contracts don't have any way of understanding anything about the real world. And to solve that problem, it's not unsolvable, but industry-wise, we're just quite a ways away from facilitating smart contracts, getting any real world information. Is it raining outside? Who's the president? All that kind of stuff. It's very difficult for these contracts to understand that. And so, so you wouldn't really be able to configure the contract for goals other than somehow looping in the people. And so you could, and if you're going to do that, you might as well just say, okay, if I want to put $1,000 into this burnable payment, well, I could do a few different things. Either the burnable payment itself would allow me to release that in parts, and I would just write down what those parts are going to be. I'll say, look, I'll release the first 500 when you do this, and then the next 500 when you do that. Or you could actually break them up into separate burnable payments, and then have them be independent, either all at once or one by one. And maybe if you do them one by one, maybe you could open up the first one, have that done, and then open up the next one, and maybe somebody else actually comes along and builds it. Or really, after you open up the first one and the guy does the payment, you might not even need the bundle payments after that anyway, because you found somebody who you can rely on to do the work. And your risk of getting scammed, you've essentially jumped over that hurdle now because you have somebody that you know is honest.
Okay. Any other questions? Then we can move on to Foundry if nobody else wants to ask.
I like the reputation part. That's quite key in a lot of things that I'm busy with, is building a reputation, and something that these platforms can do without change. So if you immigrate into a different country and you have a credit check in check, with the reputation on how you've done business, how you've accumulated wealth or whatever, this proves it basically, and that's a great function to I think excel on in the package like this. It'll come in handy.
Okay. All right. Okay. So So the reputation thing is, I think at some point, somebody's going to definitely need to build like a reputation aggregator for some of these systems as well, so that you can actually see how a guy behaved himself on various platforms, like including, Logan.
And just a point on that, for any of these systems, we've built them, and I think this is the way that the industry will go. We've built them so that anybody could build their own interfaces on top of this. And it's kind of, if you're going to build a smart contract system that has all these benefits we talked about being uncensorable, impossible to shut down, that also puts you in the direction of building them so that you don't really own the interaction with it. So with both SmokeSignal and DAIHard, what that means is somebody else can go make their own interface that either just does what we're doing but better or in a different way, or it looks at the same data and allows people to interact, but in a totally different way. So when Skulk mentions the idea of a reputation aggregator, there might be, anybody could come along and make a tool that looks at the same DAIHard data, but you put an address in, and it actually does, some kind of analysis on this person's reputation. And it could just
that's
be
exactly. Yeah, I'm busy with 2 projects like that, and that the guys can do that job. So it's quite nice.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So basically onto Foundry. So both of these things, I think the more anarcho-capitalist of you would have noticed the implications of both systems that we've shown. On our first one, on DAIHard, it's possible for somebody now to go buy something highly illegal like beer, for instance, over DAIHard, and that would be pretty much an unstoppable trade. If they had access to our raw interface, they could do it, and there's really like no stopping them. And the problem with that is
I just to nail that point home, you can do things like dead man drops with DAIHard. So you could say, look, drop it, commit to the trade. I'm going to ask you to drop it somewhere in this geographical location. You use the chat once the person is committed to say exactly where, and you go pick it up. It's extremely easy to execute this trade with nearly complete privacy. So that has quite a few interesting implications. So continue.
Yeah, so obviously me and Logan are deeply, deeply opposed to any such possible uses, and we hereby officially disavow them all. So one of the problems is that, obviously this might anger some centralized entities. Like if, for instance, somebody started trading cigarettes on here, then Mr. Mazziotti might get very angry that someone is moving in on his illegal trade. So it's a dangerous thing to really take a profit from, because that 1%, if you look on the blockchain, I mean, we haven't, like Logan just confirmed this, but we haven't once touched the 1% coming through there, right? It's all just lying there in the. All right. So the thing is, we've never benefited from any trade that's happened on DAIHard. And the problem with that is obviously we want to benefit at some point, right? We want to make money. We want to actually go forward. We want to be able to say that, listen, this thing has a sustainable development future. It's a similar thing with SmokeSignal. There are many things that would be deemed, illegal by. I think there are like 5 jurisdictions that actually very actively have speech laws, and somewhat draconian speech laws right now. So any one of those places basically posting something on SmokeSignal that is verboden would be illegal, and then our little tip amount would basically have been benefiting from that. So one of the things is we can't own this thing, right? So in our personal capacity, this is not an option. So we've started building a DAO now called Foundry DAO. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it. Oh, sorry, just Foundry.
The DAO.
Okay,
Foundry.
so Foundry. Okay, so it's more powerful to say
it's
just
a
Foundry.
DAO.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we've built a DAO, and the DAO is called Foundry. Because it forges all these projects. And so essentially, Foundry's model is that it has a governance contract. It has a token called the Fry token, which represents the fractional ownership in in Foundry. And then what we do with the governance contract, we're still building out its full DAOification implications. Right now, it's just sort of sitting in a multi-sig, but those tokens essentially will be bought back by the profits from these projects. So essentially, somebody could get Fry tokens.
Let me just link there just to be explicit. So like DAIHard and SmokeSignal, the 1% will then go into the Foundry treasury. That's the main point.
Yeah. So the Foundry will essentially control those funds, right? And then those funds can either be spent by the Foundry, or alternatively, the Foundry could essentially just burn the Fry tokens that it receives in exchange for DAI that it has, DAI or Ether or whichever other token it has in its treasury.
And just to, I mean, because I think that's a bit technical, but the main thing, the idea there, which should be explained rigorously, and feel free to check this and ask questions too. But the idea there is just that Fry holders own a part of Foundry, and when Foundry makes money, that profit can be accessed by the Fry holders. That's the essential sort of connection there.
Yeah. So so basically we're in the process of just basically getting the legalities in place for us to be able to do a token sale. As you guys can imagine, that is a non-trivial exercise. So the technical part of our sale is actually like already up and running. The blockchain aspect of it, that's proving to actually not have been the hard bit. So we can quickly show you guys that the moment we have our marketing and our legal plan sorted out, this is going live. Logan, do you want to demo that?
Yes, let me do that.
Okay, so this is actually live in terms of it's live on mainnet, but it's not live as in this is the actual sale yet.
Right. So you can go here and use this. You'll be buying fake Fry. So so the interface is live and public, but it's not real. Let me just now go to sale. And if you want to test it out, you have to go to this test main, and that's how you can actually access the sale.
Just remember to shift access
it regularly.
Again,
Oh yes.
you are you on mainnet?
No, it's just what.
Oh, okay.
It's just the app is on mainnet. Okay. All right. So wallet not connected. Connect. Oh, I had to reload because I switched networks there.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the ways that we'll be trying to steer clear of all the angry governments in the world is we've actually built. I don't want to go into the details too much, since disabling this would require some technical know-how. But basically, we've built a little thing that checks the jurisdiction. So it does 2 checks against the guy's jurisdiction: an IP check and a browser.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't work on my. Let me try my other browser. I think that's the one that worked last time. But sorry, just go ahead, Skulk. I'll just.
All right. So basically, what the thing does is it actually checks the guy's IP address that he's connecting from, and it asks him to share his browser location. And then it checks the countries of both those locations that it finds, and those have to be the same country, and they have to be in not in the blacklist, basically, of countries, right? So for now, we've excluded the United States and China, but we might have to end up excluding some more people due to some really crazy regulations regarding sanctions. But it's unclear, like at this stage, exactly how far we'd have to take that. So what he's doing now, if he clicks on the verifying jurisdiction, this won't work trivially by just using a VPN. So an American can't just use a VPN, click that, and actually like get through to the sale. You'd actually have to go do quite a bit of trouble. If he goes directly to the blockchain, then the method he actually, I won't go into that.
Yeah,
but
it's not so crucial there. But basically, we're just trying to keep the Americans out to make things easier on us legally and not have to be, because we have to, if we include the Americans, we have to do a lot of other smoke and mirror stuff that just feels actually in the end more dishonest. So this is just a way we can be straight with what we're doing. We can actually admit, for example, that fry holders may be able to make a profit. Whereas if we were going straight for the Americans, that would be a no-no.
What about?
Yes. Okay. So, all right. So here's how this works. There's these buckets. Each bucket lasts 7 hours, and there are going to be quite a few buckets. The sale will last, I think, just over 18 months with the current numbers we have, and that just consists of these 7-hour buckets. So right now, you can see I have not entered any bids into this bucket, and no one else has entered any bids into the bucket. And basically, when this bucket ends, it will give out, I think it's 30,000 fry. No matter how many people have entered, that's how much it's going to give out. So for me right now, I'm just going to put in 0.1 DAI. And you can see it sort of explains what the consequences of that is going to be. It says, and crucially here, if no one else bids on this bucket before it ends, you'll be able to claim 50,000 fry out of 50,000 fry available. So these numbers are a little outdated here. We still have to update the interface. But the short version is you get all of the fry that has been minted in this 7-hour period. I'm just going to continue, confirm, and again, MetaMask will pop up. And I'm just going to make sure this goes through here. Just increasing the gas price here just to make sure my transaction goes rather quickly. Okay, this has changed a bit just to indicate that it is mining here. And then once this actually goes through, I'll be able to change to another account and show you how it looks when you're actually competing with other people. There's also a referral bonus that you can do. Oh, that seems a bit broken. Okay, this should be able to show you the link that you can share and get a referral bonus. I don't really want to go too much into that, but it is on our FAQ, our frequently asked questions.
So will you get a percentage of your bid based on the highest bid, or if someone bids higher than you, will they then get the 50,000 fry?
Okay, right. So bid is a little misleading here. If you guys have any ideas for better words, just definitely let us know. Oh, that failed. That's interesting. But now, just to answer your question, I wish this had worked because it'd be easier to explain if it had worked. But basically,
I don't
when
think
the
you have
bucket
sufficient
ends,
DAI, by the way. That's why it failed. I'll do it from my side, okay? But just explain quickly there, yeah?
I'll stop sharing and you can share.
Okay.
And I will just explain now. So yeah, when the bucket ends, it will distribute the fry proportionately to the people who've entered. So if you put in 100 DAI and I put in, let's say if you put in 90 DAI and I put in 10 DAI, then I would get 10% of the fry and you would get 90% of the fry. So that's just sort of a way that the sale finds the price over every 7-hour bucket. It's just however much DAI people are willing to put in, it mints the fry and hands it out proportionally. Does that answer the question?
Yes, yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Okay, let me share quickly here. Okay. All right. This is new. Hold on.
Sale.foundry.com. That's your problem.
Okay.
Sale. There you go.
Sale dot and then test main, right?
Test main. Yep.
Okay. All right. So so the sequence of events here, if somebody wants to participate, so they've got to verify their jurisdiction, which does that little that'll check. It'll tell me if I'm on the wrong network. See, because we built good code. Good job, Logan. So if I just refresh that, verify my jurisdiction, now it's just checking, am I really not an American? And it doesn't look like I'm an American. All right, so I might want to do like, let me check if I have some DAI somewhere, basically. Why, Skulk? Why don't you have any DAI? Logan, do you? Okay, hold on. I'm just going to go in with like a ludicrously small amount. Okay. So I had DAI like literally earlier this morning. Okay, so just going to go in with a very, very small amount. Okay, so as Logan said, there's going to be about 1,250 buckets. So this is going to play out over just under a year. And every 7 hours, a year and a half. And then basically every 7 hours, we're going to have a bucket come up, and then people can put a bid in the bucket, right? Once you put money in, you won't be able to pull the money out, but all of that is answered in the FAQ as well as in the instructions here. So there's a couple of things on the referral code. So here, basically, when it said no referral, it says nice, you are now using a referral link. So this will actually prompt me if I don't have a referral link, and then I can use the referral link. If I share this referral link with someone else, it creates a cookie inside of their browser. And once the cookie's in their browser, if they ever come back to the sale and participate, then you get a percentage of what they did. This is actually a very, very aggressive referral program as well. It scales with how much money the reward you get scales with how much money you've raised for us. Specifically, or actually rather raised for Foundry, since it'll all go sit in a smart contract. And it actually scales very aggressively. Like the more money you bring in for Foundry, the more FRI tokens it gives you. And there's a dual purpose to that. The one thing is we obviously wanted to go somewhat viral, and the other side as well is if maybe some non-technical people who are good at marketing and good at selling things have FRI tokens, then they'll stick around and they'll actually like be useful to the projects that Foundry funds in the future as well. All right. So
yeah, and just to make that point a little stronger there, if we get people who are good at marketing to be FRI holders that actually will, Foundry is this collective decision-making entity that is made up really of the FRI holders. And so there's the strategic advantage of having some part of that be people that are good at marketing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Skulk.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So if I continue now, so it's going to ask me, all right, so it just tells me that tells me I'm an adult and I understand I'm going to lose like a small fraction of DAI now. All right, so let's just confirm that. Just like these transactions today are crazy expensive. All right, okay, so now this transaction log is just telling me that it's running at the moment. All right, that was actually incredibly quick. All right, so now I've put like a fraction of a cent in there, but I can actually enter any of the future buckets as well. And the argument here is just that if I suspect that maybe somebody is going to overpay for a specific bucket, then I can say, let's say I wanted to put in $1,000, I could put $250 in over 4 buckets, and that reduces the chance that one of the buckets might be overpriced, for instance.
Right, because every bucket by the time it ends will essentially have come to a final price, and if you were to graph that out, there would be some weird high points in that graph. So if you wanted to avoid that kind of volatility, you could go and maybe enter the 10 next buckets rather than taking more of a risk on a particular bucket, because you won't know what this price is going to be until the bucket ends. So there's some uncertainty there, and you can sort of combat that by entering into several buckets if you'd like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it creates nice competition, and then also ups the price of FRI and the demand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and then once this bucket ends, the left-hand side here will actually tell you how much FRI you can claim. And if you click the button, it'll actually pull all your FRI out of it'll actually create your FRI for you and put that in your wallet. So I've already pulled out 50,000 FRI from this test FRI wallet, test FRI contract.
Hey, Scott, let me share a screen. I just want to show what it looks like when somebody else has entered the bucket now.
Cool.
Okay, so if I was going to put in a similarly small amount, you can sort of see that this should visualize what happens. Let's see, I think Scott put in point, must have been, okay. So this is how much Skulk put in. So if I was going to put in the same amount, this is just a visual representation of what I was saying earlier. Okay, now if I put in the same amount he does, then I would get 50%. And it says there I'll be able to claim 25,000 out of 50. Again, these numbers are a bit outdated, but the crucial point here is that I would be able to get half of what's in there. Yeah, I just wanted to show that.
Okay. Yeah. So that's essentially that's the sale, and then what will happen with those Fry tokens is those Fry tokens you'll be able to deposit into a. So what we won't be doing is again, because of all the freaking tripwires that we could go into, is we won't from our side be pushing like the listing on exchanges or anything to that effect, right? If that happens organically because people believe that the project is a real decentralized project that actually like has value and goes forward, that's up to them to decide, but we're not going to be participating in that. Again, we also can't prevent someone from listing it on something like 1inch Exchange or Kyber Swap or what's the other one? Uniswap. Yeah. You know, but again, like we can't prevent that. We can't prevent that, but we're not going to push it from our side either.
And it's not really crucial for us anyway. I mean, the main purpose of there's let me just spell out the purposes of the sale is the way at least how I see them. The one big thing is just to get Fry holders that are not us, and that we want to sort of build up a healthy community of Fry holders. And that's why the sale is so long. We want to put it out there, have it go a long time. We don't want it to go over just a week. We want it to go over more than a year, so that a lot of different people can hear about it and a lot of people can get in. And that will just make Foundry's decisions much healthier and more decentralized, because it will be made up of a bunch of different kinds of people. So that's one whole strategic objective with Foundries, is to get it to be really decentralized, just in terms of the people who hold the Fry. And then the other objective is to actually fill Foundry's treasury. And so that's just when people come and put the DAI in, the DAI lands in the treasury, and the treasury is available for Foundry to use. And I think, as Skulk mentioned briefly earlier, in the beginning, that's going to be multi-sig controlled by us, but then the very next order of business is to build governance that controls that. And we have a lot of ideas on that, which we'll be releasing soon. But in all that, it's not really that crucial at all for us, especially in the early days, to increase Fry's price. We really don't want to go try to pump this anywhere. I mean, if it happens, that's fine. But really, the main two goals is to get a treasury that can be spent on developing these products and making them profitable, and then get a makeup of Fry holders that is really decentralized.
Mm.
Yeah. Great.
All right.
Okay.
Any closing questions, guys?
No, that was good. Very interesting. Yeah, fantastic. I hope I'll learn more. I'll go on it and see if I find my way around. Should be okay. And then I'll keep it in my mind to work it into projects or so on if I can. You know, and if I can, then I'll let you know. Yeah, and just try it out myself.
Okay.
Cool.
But I think the mechanism that you guys have developed, the token sales, will be used in other projects as well. I think it's a great mechanism.
Yeah. So one of the guys here actually was well, okay, he's not here, so I can't ask his permission to say where he's from, but he's from a business representation organization in South Africa. And one of the things we actually want to do with our DAO model once it's up and running is actually like make it available for other people so that they could use a similar model to actually raise funds and then distribute ownership amongst the existing members, and then basically have joint use and joint management of their treasuries online. Yeah, and I see Scotty is here as well. Scotty, are you the same Scotty from the DAIHard project? See if Scotty's listening. Oh, okay, cool. So Scotty is listening. He is here. Okay, so for instance, I mean, and again, our contracts are built such that you just tell it what token it gets sold for. So you know, you could run the sale like a very specific sort of a niche thing in South Africa and actually link it to DAIHard and actually have the DAIHard be the token that's being spent to buy it and that the treasury gets managed in. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other questions or comments or suggestions or something?
Just to add to that, Skulk, that whole idea of other people using this mechanism to raise funds, get a DAO up and running, that itself is actually something that Foundry could potentially facilitate and monetize in different ways, which there's lots of cool ideas as far as that goes. But yeah.
Okay.
All right. I don't think any more questions are coming in, so cool.
Good work. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Well, thanks for lending us.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
We'll be doing something next Friday if y'all want to join.
Yeah. We'll be doing an open demo every Friday of everything we progress with. Hopefully, we gain more projects and more participants over time. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, Carl. Thanks. Bye.
Logan, I think that went fairly well, Luke.
Yeah, that was good. I got way more engagement than I expected. There was like 12 people or so in there.
Oh wow! Oh, okay.
But it was a couple screens, maybe just 9. But I had to click through when it was more than 8 for sure. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, no, but it's cool. I mean, it's nice to have some traction. Have someone except me and you be interested in it.
That's right. Yeah, it's quite vindicating.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys have done a great job. Really, this is far better than what I thought it would be when Skulk explained it to me.
I do want to say, in Grant's defense, he has worked with me before, so this is not an unmerited opinion.
No, it's not that I thought it was going to be bad. I just couldn't visualize what you were trying to explain to me. And now that I've actually seen an implementation of it, I'm blown away. Really,
cool. Nice.
I'm very, very excited about the whole Foundry thing. I'm excited about SmokeSignal and DAIHard. I really think there's a future for these things. So nice. I'm excited for when you start offering the fry.
Cool.
I'm going to have to start selling some things.
Well,
that's wonderful to hear.
Too many things. I don't want to be that beholden responsible.
I'm still sorry I didn't sell a lot more things in Investor last time you told me about a great opportunity in this thing called Bitcoin in 2012. So yeah, well done, guys. Just one thing before I go. Can I invite other people to join the Fridays? Okay, how do I do
definitely.
that?
Okay, so what I'll do basically is I've got to figure out some of our they've changed some of the stuff, it seems. I'm not sure why, but I've got to just figure out how to go live on YouTube. And then what we'll basically do is we'll probably use YouTube's mechanism, because then you have like an open chat window that people can ask questions in and stuff. But no, you're more than welcome. The whole purpose of these things is to hold open, uncanned demos where we actually show what's done.
Yeah, YouTube is a great way to do that. So as soon as you get that working, let me know. Then I'll just forward it on to a bunch of people I know.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Great. Well done, guys.
Thank you very much, Grant.
Cheers.
Feedback. Thanks.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye. Well, that was good. No, it was not. That's where it ended, eh?
Yeah, he's basically like, shut up and give me your money. Basically, it's part of that message.
I think the other way around. Well, shut up and give me, unless the fry is our money. And then he's like, well, shut up and exchange your money for my money.
Right. Shut up and give me your new money.
Okay. Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.